Is it a good or bad time to buy real estate? And how do you know when is a good or bad time? In this video, we're going to break that down a little bit and hopefully you'll walk away a little more empowered. Let's get into it. My name is Tyler Burrows. I'm a realtor and real estate advisor here in Vancouver. And my goal with this channel is to introduce, inform, update, and educate everything real estate. And in this video, we're going to be tackling the age-old question, is it a good time or a bad time to buy real estate? A little bit of housekeeping before we kick it off. I have broken this down into chapters so you can go along and pick the right chapter for you. I've also summarized this at the end of the video, so feel free to jump over to that. And then if you're curious, you can come back for a little bit more of that information. I do encourage you to watch the whole video because I do break down a lot of information, and this is a really important topic. One last thing, this is a relatively new channel, and I am trying to get this educational content and updates out to as many people as I can. So if you could please hit that like button and subscribe, that would be fantastic. And now we're going to get into it. So is it a good or bad time to buy real estate? Well, it depends on when you watch this video, right? Well, actually, no, that's not necessarily the case. And hopefully by the time we get to the end, you'll figure out why. Let's start off by talking about slow times and fast times. I'm making this video in January, and here in Vancouver, that means it's typically pretty slow. And there's lots of factors that play into that. The weather's not that great. People are either on holidays or just coming back from holidays, or maybe they spent a little too much money over the holidays. There's lots of reasons for that. Now, a slow season can be good because it means a lot less competition, but it usually means a lot less inventory. And often in the faster season, it's the opposite. You usually have more inventory, but you also have more competition. So we have our slow and fast seasons, and then we can layer in the market trends, whether or not it's a boom, whether or not it's a bust, or whether or not it's a recovery somewhere in the middle. And often the things that factor into that are interest rates, government policies, and national and international events. Economics, there's all sorts of things that can play into that. At the time of making this video, many people consider the real estate market to be bad, to be not a good time to buy. We're either in a recession or leading into one. It's clear that the market is dipping, not just here in Canada, but all over the world. Inflation is incredibly high. Interest rates are higher than they've been here in Canada for more than 20 years. And everyone and their dog is making a YouTube video about the impending apocalypse, the real estate bubble crash, and all hell breaking loose. So it's a bad time to buy, obviously. Well, no, I would argue it's not a bad time to buy. Not for everyone. In fact, if you take anything away from this video, I want you to take away that it is never a bad time to buy for everyone. And it's never a good time to buy for everyone. There's a relatively famous old adage in the investment world that goes, it's not about timing the market, it's about time on the market. Now, a lot of people say Warren Buffett said that. I Googled it and I could not find anything where those exact words left his mouth. He alludes to that a lot, but if you can find it, I am happy to be corrected, so please put it below. That is how you learn. Anyways, the whole point is if you spend your whole life waiting to buy at the bottom of that dip just so you can sell it at the top, chances are pretty good you're just never gonna buy. Now, I'm not saying just dive in, especially in the economic situation that most people are in right now in the world. What I'm saying is it's not about timing the market. It should be more about timing yourself. What's going on for you? Are you in a sturdy financial situation? Are you ready to buy? Can you afford to buy? Can you afford to make monthly payments a year from now? What are your goals? What's the point in buying? Do you even want to buy? Are you interested? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgages? Do you even care? Okay, I'll relax. What I'm saying is the when should be more about the why, the how, the what, and the where. Don't get me wrong, it would be lovely to buy at the bottom of the dip and sell at the very top. And I do encourage you to try to ballpark it, but I don't want you to use the market as your compass. Here is a real quote that I actually saw Warren Buffett say. I never have an opinion about the market because it wouldn't be any good and it might interfere with the opinions we have that are good. If we are right about the business, if we think a business is attractive, it would be very foolish for us not to take action on that because we thought something about what the market was going to do. If you're right about the businesses, you'll end up doing fine. Now the business in this case is property. If you're right about the property, you've done your research, you've prepared yourself, then that is the time. Now, some of you might jump in the comments and say, well, Warren Buffett doesn't invest in real estate. He's owned the same house for however long. I can't remember off the top of my head. Here, I'll Google it. 6 decades. Warren Buffett has owned his home for 6 decades, and he bought it for $31,000. You know what? All of this is reminding me of a story that will sum this up really well, and I think it'll help you understand. Here it is. Once upon a time, in 2018, there was a cute couple named Tyler and Rahel, and they decided that they no longer wanted to pay someone else's mortgage, and they thought that the price that they were paying in rent could go towards ownership instead. So they reached out to a mortgage specialist and they crunched the numbers. The mortgage specialist outlined what they would need to put down and what their monthly payments would look like. Rahel and Tyler were approved. They knew that if they found a home in their targeted price range, they would have a monthly mortgage cost they could afford. After finding a realtor they trusted, they began their search. Many of their friends were skeptical because in 2018 in their area, the market was starting to dip and their friends warned them of an impending crash. Tyler and Rahel heard these warnings and understood their friends' concerns. But they were looking for a home that they planned on living in and owning for a while. And because they knew the numbers that they'd be working with, they were comfortable with whatever was going to happen to the market. That December, they found and purchased a condo. They were so happy that they had reached their goal of not only ownership, but living in a place where their monthly payments went towards their own mortgage and not someone else's. But then came the dip. Just as their friends warned, 1 month after they moved in, the market crashed and the condo lost 10% of its market value. And I have to assume that Tyler and Rahel were doomed forever. Oh, sorry, the pages are stuck here. Oh, my apologies. Yes, within 1 month, they did lose 10% of the market value that they paid for. But they had a roof over their head and payments that they could afford because they had done their homework. They continued life as usual with one major difference. They owned property in a town that they wanted to live in. The point in that story was not to actually trivialize everything I just said. If it came across that way, I apologize. The point is that we did our homework. We knew the monthly payments. We had enough money saved up for the down payment. We knew we were going to be paying rent either way, so if we found a place where the rent and the mortgage was relatively similar, there wouldn't be much financial change there. We had stable income. We talked to professionals. And regardless of whether or not the market was going to crash, we wanted a home. We were going to stay in that home. And even when the market dipped, whether or not it was an actual crash, we still had a roof over our head and a place that we really wanted. Now, this can factor in for investment properties too. It's all about doing the homework. And if you are curious of how that story ended, here we are 5 years later, and the market value of our condo has actually gone up 35%. But regardless, the whole point wasn't to have that growth. Yes, we do want a bit of a retirement plan, and we do not plan on living in that condo the rest of our lives, but we did plan on living there for a while. And that was the real point. As a quick side note, I want to point out that I actually wasn't in real estate at the time. It is actually what jump-started my real estate career. I loved doing all of that homework. I loved looking into the right neighborhoods, finding that hidden gem. Doing all that was really fun for me. Now, if you're not that type of person, find a trusted professional in your area to help you out. Ultimately, it is always your decision in the end, so I encourage you to make sure that you trust the professional that you're working with. Now, as a disclaimer, which has popped up on the bottom a few times, my goal here is not for you to leave your professional and come to me. My goal is to just say, make sure that you trust the people that you're working with, whether or not they're a mortgage broker or a financial specialist of any sort, or a real estate professional. Make sure the trust is there. Now, we're finally going to get to the part where I think whether or not this is a bad time or a good time to buy. So, here is one for this is a good time. This is a good time to buy if you have done your homework and your homework is saying yes. On the other hand, this is a no. If you have not done the homework, if you're barely hanging on, if you don't know what your job situation is going to be like in a year, if you're buying just to get in, it's not about just getting in, it's about the long term. Real estate is a long-term goal. And it's a yes for real estate investors, again, if you've done that homework. And another one that it's actually a yes for in this market, and make sure you do the math in your market. If you've been following my updates, you'll know that townhouses have actually held onto their benchmark price, while both detached and condos have been going down. So this might be a good time to jump from the townhouse to the detached if that is a goal, but make sure you talk to your professionals. Do the math. Don't just listen to some guy on YouTube. All right, here is the big summary. It is a good time to buy, and it is not a good time to buy. It is all about your homework. Factor in your motivations, your affordability, your location, what type of property you're looking for, whether or not you're ready, and whether you'll still be in the same financial situation 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now. Whether or not you're buying a property to move into or an investment property, you always have to factor these principles in. So ultimately, here is the answer that you came for. When is the right time to buy real estate? Well, it's when you can. And of course, if you want to. But in fact, you probably wouldn't be here if you weren't interested. Now, this might not be the answer you're looking for, and I totally get that. But it's often the answer that people need to hear. There's a joke in the real estate industry that when you ask when was the right time to buy, they always say 6 months ago. Now, that might not be the case in this exact month, but if we said 10 years ago, then it will be. I can almost guarantee that, and I say almost guarantee because real estate is not guaranteed. And one more time, make sure you do your homework, make sure you reach out to trusted professionals, make sure there is trust there. These are huge decisions. Ultimately, they are your decisions, but the guidance is coming from people that you should trust. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I want to know either way. Please leave a comment below. If you don't want to leave anything public, you can reach out to me in my bio. This is a QR code, but there is also a link in the bio here on YouTube, or you can find me at tylerburrows.com. If there's any other topics that you'd like me to cover, please let me know and I'll get on it as fast as I can. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one.